Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel Strike Force. I was not sure if I would be doing this today, but a lot of people were asking for me to talk about this, which is going to be the new Spotlight Raid 2 prologue, which you can see on the screen here. Now, hopefully you guys had a chance to watch my previous video, which was my Should You Core Jean Grey video, because that's going to be a pretty important segue, I suppose, if you watch that first, into this video here right now. If you haven't watched my Jean Grey video, I do recommend you going back to watch that. But we're going to be talking about all things Spotlight 2 and some stuff that's been going on regarding that. A little bit of Datamines as well. I did a bit of a story overview of the Uncanny Avengers showcase that we'll talk about, and also the rewards that are related to this. It does seem, if you read the title of my video, that there is, in my opinion, a net nerf to the rewards because they are removing Spotlight 1. So they are no longer making it possible after tomorrow for us to launch Spotlight Raid 1, and we are going to be having to run Spotlight 2. The only problem is that they're asking us to do more for the same rewards or less, and I'm not happy about that. So if you want to know more, then stay tuned. Let's boil this down. Okay, so first of all, when you go into the raid screen of the game, you can actually scroll to the back end side, and you can see that it's sort of in preview, starts in 23 hours at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Friday tomorrow. But if you are an alliance leader or captain, make sure that you do go into the auto launch function here, edit time or whatever, and you click on the purple raids, and then you can actually go down and you can choose Spotlight 2 Prologue, and then you can schedule that to launch. So make sure you do that because, again, I'm pretty sure that they're getting rid of Spotlight Raid 1, which is something that they said not on an official blog, but they posted it basically in the MSF official Discord and then pushed it out in the news channel because I saw it earlier on my Discord server. So let's just start off with the difficulty selector. You can kind of see here, there is no first time rewards for normal difficulty, but for D1, you need 50% to get to the next difficulty, which is going to be the Alpha Flight section and the unrestricted as well. And so you can see here that you do get some first time rewards, which include some Battle World credits, some red gear, and some Spotlight Radar fragments, like we need any more of those, because normally we're pretty capped. Also, PS, they changed it to Sentinel is in there now if you don't already have them maxed out from the 310 free shards. But you can see that there's about 90,000 Battle World credits. They did also add the Night Stalkers characters here into the Battle World store today. So they are available there for purchase there from these Battle World credits that you might get starting tomorrow through the weekend, I guess, if you get up to D2. Now, it does seem that by and large that the rewards are pretty much the same. The difficulty also is pretty much the same. I say pretty much because the main difference is that to get into difficulty 1 and 2, you need purple ISO, right? We talked about this in the video that I released this morning. So in order to run difficulty 2, you do need purple ISO 3 on your Alpha Flight, your Uncanny Avengers, and actually you do need them. You're going to need them on the unrestricted section. So anyone that you're running in the unrestricted section actually will also need to have purple ISO. So that's not something that I actually covered in my earlier video because I didn't really think about it. Also, we didn't know what the map looked like. So I do want to talk about the map here. Now, this is just D0. We'll take a look at the D2 stuff here later on. But you can see that there's going to be 2 nodes. Now, there's 6 lanes. So you can go left or right, and there is 3 lanes on either side. So for a alliance team of 8, there is 6. There's going to be 2 overlaps, I guess, where you can go wherever you want. But there are 6 lanes, which is changing from the 4 that we had in Spotlight Raid 1. So going back to something similar to like Orcus Raid as far as the layout goes. Now you can see that there were 2 unrestricted nodes here at the beginning. I'm not really going to cover the enemies on here that much. Like, that's not really my concern of this particular video. I'm sure we'll discuss this tomorrow, possibly when the raid actually launches. And it's probably not going to be difficult, right? It's gear tier 16, so it's going to be simmable. And I guess maybe that's part of the disappointment is that, well, because they're getting rid of Spotlight 1, the difficulty, I think, is basically going to be the same of what we expected on Spotlight 1. They're just changing the characters. So then it goes, after the unrestricted, it goes into Alpha Flight. Now there is a 1 node here, 1 mini boss, 1 more node here, and then another boss. So it's like 2 Alpha Flight nodes with 2 bosses on each side. So it's not a lot. But then there was also going to be like a boss that separates the Alpha Flight section and the Uncanny Avengers section. So this has you're probably going to want to use Alpha Flight anyways, because typically Alpha Flight in raids, especially North Star, is really good when it comes to removing the turn bar functions of characters like Super Skrull and anything like that. There's also some Black Knights and some Void Knights in there. So I think you're probably going to want to use Alpha Flight in here anyways, even though it's unrestricted. And then over here, I guess you could use Odin or something. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. It does require 4 Uncanny Avengers. I talked about that in my video as well. So you can see here that there are 3 nodes, or I guess like a mini boss, a node, a mini boss, and then another node. And then you can see here, I guess we'll just look on this side actually. There is a Black Knight boss there. So a 4th node that is a boss. So it's like 3/4 Uncanny Avenger nodes that you're going to need to do there. And then finally, there is a boss which requires, again, unrestricted, but perhaps based on the characters that are there, you might want to run Alpha Flight again. Alpha Flight seems to be very, very strong in a raid context. And from the enemies that I'm seeing here, you're going to want to get rid of anything that has turn bar manipulation, right? Like Kang. And so that's why North Star and Alpha Flight are very good for this. You can see a Zombie Scarlet Witch as far as new characters go. That's probably one of the newest ones on here. I didn't check every single node in terms of like new era characters. There's some areas here, but that shouldn't really be much of a big deal in raids. Now, the biggest problem, this is what we're going to get to, and I know it took me a long time to get here, is the rewards, right? So this is D0, and they've included this new ability orb. Now, this was in the Datamines like last week or so, or 2 weeks ago. We saw this. Now, they're basically converging all of those ability orbs. You know, the green orbs, the blue orbs, the purple orbs, all of that is being converged into one ability orb. And this is supposed to replace some of the T4. So at 100%, we were at D2, we were getting 60 T4s. And now I can show you this on the website actually here. So this is D2, by the way, but if you scroll down to the bottom, it does show the difficulties because I can't actually open up D2 right now. You can see here at 100% D2 that there is going to be 30 T4s as well. 20,000 ability. Actually, it looks almost identical to what's in here, just a little bit less gold, right? And some of the other rewards are going to be different as well. But you can see 1,000 Hercules Diamond Orb Fragments, 2 Path of Jean Grey Orb Fragments, the red gear, which is the same. All of this is the same. The gold is the same. All this is the same. They've added in these 2 things, and they've changed. Instead of getting 60 T4s, you are now getting ability orb fragments. And this is what I'm kind of pissed off about, because they're asking us, like I said earlier in the video, they're asking us to have 10 purple ISO 3 characters for the same rewards or less. And by less, I mean the RNG of these ability orbs. Now, there was a statement made by Pathfinder here in the Marvel Strike Force official Discord server. And he said this, because people were asking. And it said the ability orbs will also include T4s on average. On average, it gives 3 per orb, and you get, and you at a minimum get 10 orbs a day. But the problem is that he said on average, right? Which means that you're not necessarily going to be getting that. You could get less. And that's my biggest take home issue with this, is that if you're doing the same, if you get yourself up to D2 and you're doing 70 and 100% or whatever, you know, you are some days going to get less T4s than what you got before. And that is not okay, because I'm putting 10 characters worth of purple 3 just so I can run this stupid fucking raid and getting the same or worse. It is not more. We should be getting more rewards in this. I have a huge issue with the rewards on this raid, and that is not better. Because, again, we're moving from a point where we didn't need any purple ISO on any of our raid characters to suddenly now we have to stick purple 2 and purple 3 on these characters in order to actually be able to run D1 and D2. Now, I wouldn't have as much of an issue with this if they kept the old Spotlight 1 raid, but they're not. They're abolishing that, so you can't run it, and now you are forced to run this. They have not really improved the amount of purple ISO coming into the game, and so this is a big problem in my opinion, that they're asking us to apply all of this purple ISO stuff, and if you haven't finished Odin, good fucking luck, right? Like, you're gonna have to stretch your resources, you're gonna have to decide, right? Or try and use some of these characters in your Dark Dimension 8 global hero. And the biggest issue with this really is, we'll just start with Alpha Flight, really. They're all global hero, all of them. Alpha Flight and Uncanny Avengers are all global hero. So you can try, right, and use some of these in global hero, which is, by the way, is a pretty tough section already. So using some of these characters really isn't going to help you that much. Guardian did help me a little bit because of his control, his debuffs, his stuns, and all that he had. But by and large, the rest of them aren't going to make a really big difference in your DD8 global hero run. There are characters like Storm and Beast from Uncanny Avengers who probably will help, and possibly Falcon as well. Like that side of it's fine because they're new era characters, but this won't help that much. And you have to do it, right, in order to get into the notes. So, this is a long-winded rant a little bit, but 10 characters is a lot. I just want to say that, like I've lost a lot. Now I picked up some purple ions back up again, but after applying this to my Spotlight 2 teams, I did end up losing quite a bit, like 3 million purple ions. And not everyone is in the position, either in ions or in crystals, to be able to do that like I am. And so it's a pretty big difference. I don't know what's going to happen with my Alt Alliance I don't know how far we're going to get. I think we might actually get less rewards than what we have been getting now, because we're not going to be able to go up to D2 70% plus. And given that the rewards are not better, I'm going to be at a net loss. I think my alliance will be at a net loss, and so I think some others will as well. And I really don't like what they're doing with this. They need to improve the rewards. Possibly, it seems that they're hell bent on sticking to this ability orb fragment nonsense, but then they need to boost this. Add 5 more to make up for the RNG that's going to happen with these orbs. I really don't like that. And the rest of the rewards just need to be better. Like, whoop-de-doo. I get 2 fucking Path to Jean Grey. I hate these Phase 1 orbs, right? I don't even know what the contents, the percentages are, but I don't care anyways, because these Phase 1 orbs kind of suck anyways. And that's just not a good compromise, I think, for not improving the rest of this stuff. But that's just my opinion anyways. So that's the first part of the video. The second part of the video I do want to talk about is the Datamines, right? I do want to go into my channel here, where we talked a little bit about, most of this is just the showcase stuff, I think. So I just want to do a quick overview of the story. Now, I just went through the dialogue of all of the story parts that were mentioned, the text lines and stuff like that, and kind of did a little bit of a summary. So for the Jean Grey showcase, she's getting teleported to the Mojoverse from possibly the Danger Room. I think this Jean Grey is not necessarily the Marvel Strike. It's from a different universe or dimension than the current MSF timeline. So that's why they talk about that a little bit. Jean Grey has a fight with Magneto, it seems. I think this is like the Emma Frost, Old Man Logan, Magneto team that's been going around the various stories, I think, something like that, and how it's going to culminate into Charles Xavier. Seems to be a slow gathering of the Immortal X-Men. Every mission, there seems to be like a new person gets added into the team. Suggestion of someone helping behind the scenes in the Mojoverse, and we can meet him soon after we deal with them. Again, allusion to another character. Jean reunites with the Summers family, at least Scott. Maybe Havoc is somewhere there as well. There was, obviously there's some rumors. Well, is it a rumor? But of Dark Descendants, who was mentioned on my Onslaught video. So I think that might be the team that's coming after this, or after this group. Jean Grey is then rescued by Emma Frost X-Men and Cyclops and brought back to the MSF timeline. And for the Hercules mission, it seems that Thor and Hercules get into a drunken brawl. Odin sends them onto a 12 labors task, although there's some suggestion that it might have been Loki in disguise. Loki seems to be popping up here and there, especially in the Absolute A-Force missions, which we'll see down below as well. So Shadow King sent Loki to the Shi'ar Empire to take Charles Xavier's Logic Diamond, which is some Shi'ar technology, which I believe is used in the Resurrection protocols in Krakoa, and he didn't want anyone to bring Charles back. That was the Shadow King. Now, the team showcase has something to do with Sharon Carter in a Hydra operation. Uncanny Avengers are spying on Baron Zemo, and they said something is off. Some observations of more than one Zemo, which maybe suggests that Loki is doing something again. Maybe that's going to lead into something later. Some thoughts that the Hydra operation was linked to Mr. Sinister and some cloning, but it appears that's not the case, and the event ends with the Hydra facility being dismantled. So nothing too major. I think we might get some a little bit more on the next showcase, which, again, at this point in time, my current thoughts is based on where we are with, the videos that I've done, is that I think that we're going to be seeing Onslaught and the Dark Descendants coming pretty soon, probably by the end of this month, and there will be probably more videos to talk about with regards to that. But anyways, I just wanted to round this one out. I'm really not happy with where we sit right now with Spotlight 2. It's going to go live tomorrow, and I'm going to have to do it, right? That's just the end of the day. But I don't think that the rewards are worth it for us having to gear up 10 purple ISO 3 characters to get the same rewards, or in some cases less T4s. I'm not happy about that, and I hope that they hear this. Maybe they decide to change. Maybe there's some other envoys out there who expressed the same opinion as well. Who knows? That's going to be the end of this video, everyone. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. And until next time, stay safe and healthy. I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.